they became deviated because they started accepting deviated beliefs. So deviation came on the issue of infallibility. Deviation came on the belief of the ilm al-ghaib, the Imam knows. Deviation came on the belief that Imams are more greater than prophets, except the Rasul. Deviation came on the belief of Uliya Takwiniya, that the Imams can control the weather, because Allah's given them that power. Yeah, because and they argue like that Allah gave the power to, the Messiah Dajjal. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أساسا لفقرته وأحكام شرعية بالقياس عن أعماله مجدرا بأحكامه أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, brothers. Shia and the Sunni, it's a very contentious issue, very contentious. And it's important that we know and we can navigate the differences so we understand the historical context. This conflict is from its beginning, whether you like it or not. It happened very early. And I'm going to go into this, the difference between the Shia and the Sunni. And it is mainly regarding leadership. So when it comes to the Shia, they make the issue of the leader after Rasulullah is supposed to be the Ahl al-Bayt, the family of the Prophet, and the Imams, the 12 Imams. And the 12 Imams, we know them as the Isna Ashara. Yeah, they are the main Shia, they're the majority of the Shia. And there are obviously branches of the Shia, but those are when we say Imami, in our books we mention Imami. And there we're talking about the Isna Ashara, the 12ers. And they believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appointed 12 Imams after Rasulullah. So that's the contention. We say, no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not appoint, Rasulullah did not appoint. It was given to the Ummah to appoint. And we have established something called the Bay'ah. The Bay'ah is received. The first thing that came about is the name Shia. That's the first thing. The name Shia didn't have any meaning that we have today. There's a particular meaning. Then the concept of Imama came. The concept of Imama came quite early. That Imama means, or the scholars call Rafidi. Yeah, it was the early Rafidi. That means that they believe that Imam Ali should have been the first Khalifa, not Abu Bakr. That was the original belief, and they believed that Imam Ali should have been the first. So that's what came second. Name came first, and that came second, and then the issue of the madhahibs. They had the Zaydi and the Jafari madhab. Yeah, that came after. And then when the muhaddithin or the hadith scholars of the Shia came about, that's when the other concepts came about, the infallibility and the ilm al-ghaib. There are no clear-cut Quranic arguments that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appointed Imam Ali. Yeah. So one of the things that they do put forward, that they do believe is a strong argument, is the ayat in of Surah Baqarah 124, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Ibrahim alayhi salam, that he's going to make him a leader of the people. Yeah. Inni ja'ilaka lin-nasi imama. I will make you a leader of the nas, of the people. And they argue that Ibrahim alayhi salam was already a Nabi, therefore he was increased to an Imam. Therefore Imam is greater than Nabi. That's one of the beliefs. And they use that, and that's what the Imama, that's where they believe it comes from. And then they said, they continue because Ibrahim alayhi salam said, what about my descendants? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, your covenant, includes your covenant, those people after you, but not the zalimun. And that's the issue of zalimun for them means sinless. Sinless, meaning they're infallible. That's where they got this understanding from. This understanding was not known in the time of the Sahaba, nor was it known in the times of the Sahaba, people after the Sahaba, called the Tabi'in. This actually came later. Our understanding is that ayah is talking about Allah raising Ibrahim alayhi salam to a higher level, and the scholars call it Imam al-Huda, the Imam of guidance, because we know Ibrahim alayhi salam was not a political leader. He wasn't a political leader of a nation. We know that. So it cannot mean he was a Imam, that in that sense, Imam or a leader of a nation. He was a leader from his progeny, from his people, and the people that followed him. Okay, let's go into some incidents of the time of Rasulullah, and then I'm going to follow on from there. One of the incidents that happened was the Battle of Tabuk. Now, the Battle of Tabuk is probably the last battle of the Rasul. Yeah, it was the last battle that he actually led. And in that battle, Imam Ali was told not to come. Told not to come. And then some people made a mockery of the Imam Ali. Oh, he doesn't trust you. You're not strong. All these kind of things. These are hypocrites. They were hypocrites in that time as well. And then the hadith that they used to say that Imam Ali was appointed is this hadith. They say that Rasulullah said to Imam Ali that time that you are to me as Harun is to Musa, except that there is no prophet after me. So they use that hadith. Again, this hadith is found on their collections. So I'm going to only talk about the hadith that we both agree on. So they use that hadith to say that Rasulullah made it clear that after him would be Imam Ali. And again, this is a misunderstanding. The issue is that Rasulullah appointed Imam Ali not as a governor, not as a ruler over Medina. Because when he went to fight in Tabuk, fight the Romans basically, there's Muhammad bin Maslama who was the governor of Medina. He left him. But so he appointed him over the people of the Ahl al-Bayt to look after the family. That he was told to look after. That's a concept that you realize that the Sunnis acknowledge the concept of Ahl al-Bayt and the concept of Imam within the Ahl al-Bayt. People are Imams within the Ahl al-Bayt. People take over the looking after the people of the Ahl al-Bayt. Another thing that happened, okay, after the Rasulullah the farewell khutbah, so we're coming to the end of the Rasul's life. So he gave the farewell khutbah, the khutbah about the racism, all that in Hajj, that famous khutbah. After coming back from that, there was over 100,000 Muslims were there. On the way back, he stopped somewhere, and where he stopped was the Qadir Khum, that place. And I think about 50,000 minimum, 50 to 60,000 remained behind. And in that, he says something again. The Shi'a will make an argument that is an evidence that Ali was supposed to be the Khalifa or the Imam after Rasulullah. So Rasulullah said, whoever's Mawla I am, Ali is his Mawla. And now, what does that mean? The Mawla, what does Mawla mean? And then again, they make the argument that Mawla means he gave him leadership. Rasulullah gave him to become a Khalifa. But we understand, again, even according to basic Arabic language, Mawla never meant, and none of the Sahaba understood as Imam and given succession. None of them understood that. Mawla means the beloved. Mawla means someone that Rasulullah has very close to, that Rasulullah befriended. So this is an understanding that we say. They use that hadith to say that Ali was supposed to be the Khalifa because Rasulullah said he is the Mawla. But if Rasulullah is the Mawla and Ali is the Mawla, we have two Khalifas. Again, that will make sense. Anyway, so that was just before the passing of Rasulullah. So those are the two incidents, the two hadiths they bring forward. Now, when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, the Sahaba gathered together in a place called Bani Saqifa, in that place. So some of the Sahaba like Abu Bakr, radiallahu an, Uthman, Umar, and Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah, they from the Muhajir, they came into that place, and there were other Sahaba from the Medina Sahaba, Ansar, quite a lot of them, at 30, 35 of them. And they were all talking about who's going to be the next leader after Rasulullah. Now, the mere fact that they all came together like this, it just shows that the Sahaba never knew that Rasulullah appointed someone. You see, none of them made the argument. So again, it makes it very clear that if they didn't know, they wouldn't be appointed someone. It's very clear that the Sahaba got together, and this is when they appointed Abu Bakr, and he became the first Khalifa. But where was Imam Ali? Where was Ali ibn Abi Talib? He was washing the body of Rasulullah. He was looking after the people in the house. That's what. But it is true, Imam Ali wanted to be involved in that. There is narration from our sources, from the Sunni sources. He wanted to be part of the process. And this is one of the narrations that we have. That he said it would be nice that he was part of that process. And nonetheless, he gave bay'ah to Abu Bakr. There are two narrations. First narration, he gave bay'ah to Abu Bakr immediately. because Abu Bakr asked for it. And the second generation he gave it later, about 6 months later. So that was the Bani Saqifa. So when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, the first Khalifa became Abu Bakr. And that was unanimous. No dispute regarding, no one made the argument that it should have been Ali. Yeah. Then the second Khalifa, we know who the second Khalifa is, yeah? Omar Khattab. Again, Abu Bakr nominated Omar. He nominated after discussing with the people. And there was no discussion about Ali in our sources. Yeah? There was no discussion that Ali should have been appointed. He came to the conclusion, Abu Bakr that it should be Omar. He appointed Omar, and everyone decided to, it became accepted, unanimous, that he becomes the next Khalifa. Yeah? So Omar Khattab became the Khalifa. Yeah. So that was the second Khalifa. Then Omar Khattab was obviously attacked. In our history, we know that he was attacked and he was stabbed, and he was in a dying moments, and he decided to appoint 6 of the Ashara Mubashara, 6 of the Sahaba, amongst them to appoint a Khalifa. So he was amongst them, and those 6 include Imam Ali and Imam Uthman. They include Uthman, Ali, and the others as well. But those 2, so the 4 of them, there were 6 of them, 4 of them decided to put their votes down, and they said it's only between these 2. The word Shia, that's where it first came about, between Uthman and Ali. They were the 2 that was remaining in the election of Uthman and Ali. And those who supported Ali, they were called the Shia Ali. Shia means party of Ali. That's the first time the word was used, party of Ali. So Abdurrahman ibn Aus is one of those 4. He decided to go around and ask everyone, out of these 2, who do you think should be the Khalifa? So according to his research, most people said Uthman. Yeah? And you have against the Shia, they say, and there's no evidence for that, they said that most people said Ali. There's no evidence for that. This is just statements. Yeah? We have evidence, meaning that we've got narrations, isnad, clear narrations. That Uthman actually got the most likely, the most recommendation. Then in that, Abdurrahman ibn Auf gave the Khilafah to Uthman ibn Affan. So that's another contention they have. They think Abdurrahman ibn Auf and all of the Sahaba conspired against Ali and decided to give it to Uthman. Yeah, and if you look at the issue, they're actually accusing the Sahaba of doing conspiracy against Ali. So after Uthman, the next Khalifa was indeed Imam Ali. And that's because Uthman, what happened to him? He got basically assassinated. Uthman ibn Affan got assassinated, and people in Medina gave the bay'ah to Imam Ali. Ali became the 4th Khalifa. But some people did not want to give the bay'ah to him. And one of the probably the most famous that you'll hear is Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. Muawiyah, who was the governor of Damascus, Syria. He was the governor of that. He didn't want to give the bay'ah because he believes the first thing that should be sorted out is those who killed Uthman. Yeah. And therefore he didn't get bay'ah, and in fact he remained like this. He remained his rule. They actually go into war. This is the Battle of Siffin, or Imam Ali and Imam Muawiyah. They actually go into a fight. There's also a fight between, just before when Imam Ali became the Khalifa, there was a fight with him and Aisha, the al-Mu'mineen, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. So that was a battle of Jamal, yeah, the battle of the camel, yeah, because she was on the camel. And then Imam Ali, after that battle, he decided to move the Khilafah, the seat of the Khilafah, from Medina to Kufa in Iraq. And then then the battle of Siffin happened with Muawiyah and Imam Ali fought. So this was the reason I mentioned these arguments, because people started feeling sorry or sympathy towards Imam Ali against the Muawiyah, the Umayyad. So after Ali he ruled for over 4 years, and after him, his son became the Khalifa. And Imam Ali's son is Hassan, so Hassan ibn Ali. He became the Khalifa after Ali. Yeah. and that was in Medina. But Muawiyah didn't like that. Muawiyah said that he should be. This is when he actually challenged that for Khilafahship. He did not challenge Ali at the time. He challenged that at that time. He challenged that he should be the Khalifa. So he wanted to go into a war with Hassan, and Hassan decided to abdicate his Khilafahship. He said, "No, in that case, I'm going to let go of my Khilafahship and I'm going to unite with you." And he made some conditions. Those conditions is not authenticated. There are some conditions there. Some say that he was supposed to give it back to the Bay'ah. The people have to elect. He can't be going to his son. Muawiyah became the Khalifa after. So Ali Hassan let go. Muawiyah became the Khalifa. In the time of Muawiyah, he called himself the first king. He believes he's ruling like a dynasty. Yeah. He, after his end of his rule, he ruled really well. There was politically very sharp. He ruled nearly for 20 years, and after his rule, he wanted to give it to his son Yazid. And Hussein is the other son of Ali and the brother of Hassan, Hussein ibn Ali. He challenged that. Giving it to Yazid. And on the way challenging, he got killed by Yazid's army in the place called Karbala, yeah, in Iraq. That's how we know that Hussein got killed, massacred, his whole family in Ashura, in the 10th of Muharram. That's why the Shia do not celebrate Ashura. The Shia believe Ashura is completely made up in order to forget what happened to him. And it's true, it did happen. We have in the books of Ibn Kathir, Bidayah wa Nihaya, At-Tabari's Tahriq. We mentioned what happened actually. It was quite brutal. Muawiyah started the Umayyads. So after the Khilafah Rashida, so the five, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, then Ali, then Hassan, we call them the Khilafah Rashida. Hassan is debated because his 6 months was, some people debate that. But nonetheless, they are the first 30 years. That's why we have a hadith that Rasulullah said, the Khilafah will be 30 years. The scholars say that he's talking about the Khilafah Rashida. Then after the Khilafah Rashida came the Umayyad. Muawiyah started the rule of the Umayyads. In that, there are certain things that he did or he approved of that is quite questionable. So one of the things is that in the khutbah, the cursing of the Ahl al-Bayt. Cursing Ali, cursing Hassan in the khutbah. That happened under Muawiyah. Some say it came from Muawiyah. But there are narrations where Muawiyah curses the Ahl al-Bayt. Yeah? But in the khutbah, apparently that started from there. And he was stopped by the Khalifa Umar ibn Abdulaziz, one of the later Khalifas. These are the early times. So after the Sahaba, the different madhahibs came about. So we had the first two madhahib, if you want to call it the first two. We call it the Ahl al-Ra'i and the Ahl al-Hadith. Yeah? That's the first two madhahib that is narrated. So the Ahl al-Ra'i were in Kufa. Yeah? They were in Kufa, that is in Iraq, the seat of the Khilafah. And that's where, from the Ahl al-Ra'i came the Hanafis. From the Ahl al-Ra'i came the Zaydis. Came the Jafari. So Zaydis and Jafaris are from the Shia madhab. Yeah, they're from the Shia side. So the way we understand the Zaydis basically is the brother, basically the 12 Imams. The 5th Imam is Muhammad al-Baqir. He's the son of Zayn al-Abidin, the son of Hussein's Ali. Ali is the son of Hussein. Yeah, Hussein bin Ali, and his son is Ali Zayn al-Abidin. His son is Muhammad al-Baqir, Zayn al-Abidin Baqir. So he is the 5th Khalifa. But his brother, Zayn al-Ali, disputed that. And he said he should be the 5th. They are students, basically. And this one, they're the 5th. The 5th, they're called the Zaydi. They only recognize 5 Imams. Yeah, they're called the Zaydis of the Shia. Yeah, so that's one. So the son of Muhammad al-Baqir was Jafar al-Sadiq. Yeah, he's the son of Muhammad al-Baqir, but he's also the teacher of Abu Hanifa. He was the teacher of Imam Malik. Yeah, there's narration that he did teach Imam Malik and Imam Abu Hanifa. See the link now. There's a link there. Imam Jafar is known as the 6th Imam. And Imam Jafar's son, Musa ibn Jafar, he had another older son called Ismail. Ismail passed away before Jafar passed away. Ismail was the older son. Ismailis came from him. They believe Ismail should have been after Jafar. That's where the Ismailis came. So you had the Zaydis and the Ismailis. Yeah, Ismailis are genuine Muslims. You can ask that question in Q&A. Yeah, but the Zaydis are accepted because Zaydis believe very like the Sunni. They believe that they believe they accept Abu Bakr, Umar, they accept, but they prefer that Ali was the first Khalifa. But they don't have a problem with that. Okay? So here we are. Can you see where the early times? That's the sixth Imam, and in the sixth and seventh Imam, then the concept of Imama came about. The concept of that and took very strong hold. And that's why in our narrations, when it came to the scholars collecting hadith, it came after that. On that time, they were collecting hadith, and in the narration of the hadiths, we had some of the narrators that are called Imami, are called Rafidi. Rafidi was not a bad term, in the really bad term right now. At that time, it just means those who rejected the first Khalifas, rejected Abu Bakr and Umar. They wanted Ali. That's the rejection. They didn't believe in infallibility. They didn't believe in none of that. They just believed that Imam Ali should be the first Khalifa. That was called the Rafidi. Yeah, and that was a narration. You find it in Tirmidhi. There are some narrators that we accept they call themselves Shi'a, and we accept them. Yeah. So now you can see how early the split happened. Yeah. The clearest split that we say that happened, it happened when Hussein was actually killed in Karbala. That's when the Shia actually started separating and starting their own sort of civilization, your own start of hadiths. That's why Bukhari and Muslim came after. We followed the Sunni, Bukhari, Muslim, all that. They already split. So the Imams, these are the Imams, the 12 Imams that goes there at the same time with Imam Bukhari and Muslim. But after the 12 Imams, they started their own hadiths. And the first of their hadith, we call it, is al-Kafi, done by Kulayni. That's one of the first muhaddith. He came basically at the time of the last Imams of theirs, yeah, Ibn Asakir. So the concept of the Imam and Rafid came from the students of Jafar as-Siddiq. His students, and we've got some of them in our chain, in the chains of the Tirmidhi, he has them in the chain, yeah. The concept of infallibility and ilm al-ghaib and all of that actually came from the time of their muhaddithin. The Kulayni, yeah, in his time, at-Tusi, yeah, their books, at-Tabrisi, Kulayni's al-Kafi. In their narration, they have actual narration from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam naming 12 of the Imams. So that's their narrations, yeah. And this infallibility means basically they're not accountable. They do not sin. Yeah. Then the concept of ilm al-ghaib. So all of these concepts actually came about in that time. This is where they came about. They came about in that time of. So after the Sahih Sitta, after that period came their books called the what do you call it? The 4 books, the Kitab al-Arba'a, the 4 books that it came after, and that's from these books came these kind of other concepts. The concept of infallibility, the concept of ilm al-ghaib, that the Imams know the ghaib, the concept of ulaya taqwiniya. They believe that Imams can control the cosmics, the weather. Allah's given them that power to control all of that. They actually believe these kind of things. Yeah. And from our understanding, these are deviated beliefs. In the beginning, it's fine. The Zaydi madhab, the Jafri, they were fine. They the madhab that they just believed that Ali should have been the first Khalifa. They didn't have the concept of infallibility, ilm al-ghaib. They believed that Ali should have been. It's possible, and it's arguable. It's possible that that's an argument, because there was no Rasulullah did not nominate anyone. So there was the mere fact that Sahaba were competing against each other. It means it was open. So Ali was open to be a Khalifa, yeah. In that, so we don't have a problem with that. The problem is those other concepts that came very much later, and you will not find it from any of the Sahaba, because in our narrations, you'll not find any of the Sahaba say these concepts, or the Tabi'in, those who came after. It only came at the time of these Kulayni and Tusi. Their time it came about on this. But for them, they made up. They came at the Sahaba. There was no narration. In our narration, there's none of that. Okay, you can go in the Quran and ask more of that. Anyway, our position is they became deviated because they started accepting deviated beliefs. So deviation came on the issue of infallibility. Deviation came on the belief of the ilm al-ghaib, the Imam knows. Deviation came on the belief that Imams are more greater than prophets, except the Rasulullah. Deviation came on the belief of uliya, taqwiniya, that Imams can control the weather, because Allah's given them that power. Yeah, because like the, and they argue like that Allah gave the power to, the Messiah Dajjal. So they can have that power. These are all rational arguments in a way. There's no textual argument to say that they were given this kind of power. So we believe they're deviated, and how do we treat them? We know that Rasulullah in his time, there were people that had Muslims, and they're called hypocrites, and there were, and there are Muslims that Rasulullah had, the narration that he speaks well, they had bad understanding. Yeah, generally Rasulullah did not get involved in their deviation. He didn't attack them, he didn't try to fight them, because the narration came that people will say that if he started fighting the munafiq, people say that he's killing his Sahaba. And because of that concept, it becomes that he's killing his own people. Rasulullah did not interfere with the general beliefs of the munafiqeen and some of the deviated beliefs. That's the same thing we have with Imam Ali when it came to the Khawarij. The Khawarij, they came about in his time. They're the ones who killed him, by the way. But in his time, the Khawarij had their own little place. Imam Ali, as a Khalifa, he didn't get involved in them. He ruled for 4.5 years. He didn't interfere with them, left them up they are. And it's only when they started killing Muslims, when they started killing Muslims, that's when Imam Ali sent the army. Yeah? And the same thing we do not believe our state, the Khilafah, should adopt on these matters of branches of the Aqidah. The reason if they shouldn't adopt the future Khilafah, it's because what happened with the Mu'tazila. The Mu'tazila, they adopted the Khalq al-Quran. They adopted the creation of the Quran. They became Khilaf. They took over the Khilafah, and that caused a lot of problems in the Ummah. So this is one of the reasons that the deviated beliefs, how we stand. Okay, is that okay, brothers? Yeah, I don't want to go too detailed. I hope the Q&A goes into a bit more, inshallah. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.